Minister aware that the First Minister of Scotland has said she is, although there's not going to be a referendum, that's now clear, she's going to continue to spend money, taxpayers' money, British taxpayers' money, on civil service and other preparations for this non-existent referendum. Is this not a disgrace, particularly today when teachers in Scotland are on strike because they're not getting enough of a pay increase?
So the Noble Lord will be aware that under the devolution settlement, the UK Government does not prescribe to the Scottish Government how to spend the money that's sent north of the border. It allows the Scottish Government to make grown-up decisions on its own behalf, on behalf of the people of Scotland. What the judgment in the Supreme Court has given us helpful clarity on is the very clear difference that we all knew between reserved matters and devolved matters. The Constitution, therefore, clearly is reserved. The spending of £20 million in that area is a matter for the Scottish Government. The Noble Lord will know that that could be the equivalent of 1,000 new nurses, 650 police officers, 600 new teachers on a day that schools are out on strike. It was probably for all of us to point out within the Scottish environment that the Scottish Government should be directing their attention to matters which they have devolved responsibility for.
When I was a councillor, if a council spent money which was ultra vires, the councillors were personally liable. Given the behaviour of the Scottish Government, should we not be extending that ability to surcharge members of the devolved administrations where they incur expenditure which is ultra vires?
The Noble Lord is a very eminent former Secretary of State for Scotland and knows his territory well. He will also be aware of the architecture put in place at the time of the 98 Act, which has been further improved by the 2012 and 2016 settlement. Within that, the UK Government gives Scottish Government discretion to spend its money on behalf of the Scottish people, and it's down to the Scottish people to give their view on that at the ballot box.
My Lord. The outcome of the judgment in the Supreme Court was predictable and inevitable. It's been a distraction and a complete waste of time and Scottish taxpayers' money, and I speak with personal affront about that. But will the Minister consider at any future referendum setting out the conditions and the criteria on which would trigger and conduct a referendum so people will know the circumstances and not have to suffer this never-ending push? And will he agree with me that for this SNP to complain about democracy is to forget that they have betrayed the people of Scotland who have twice voted for devolution and never voted for independence?
So, another eminent Scottish politician, my Noble Lord, is well aware of the circumstances within which they are operating. There is no need to be talking about another referendum. The Supreme Court have made it very clear that there's no avenue for that within the Scottish Government. But more importantly, there is no appetite. Now, when the referendum was held in 2014, there was consensus across both parliaments, all parties, civic society, that the referendum should be held. 3.6 million Scots voted, 2 million voted to stay in the UK, 1.6 million to leave. That is a decisive result, and therefore, given that since that time the SNP have only polled on the region of 1.3, 1.4 million votes consistently, they have no more than a third of the population who want to pursue their separatist agenda, in which case there's no need for us to consider another referendum.